Everybody, and welcome to ESO Daily. I am your host, Mysticraven. Alright, so I'm hoping I don't have any more errors. I was trying to do the recording here a few minutes ago. Just a little error comes up every so often when you're trying to record. So build updates. It's what I've been working on this week. I just got to get them out there. So I'm hard at work. But this one was a lot easier because not much has changed except a few CP points reallocated. But today I'm going to bring you the updated version of the Plaquebringer build. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into it. Now keep in mind this is a bow build. Yes, I did not stutter. It is a bow build. Alright, so first off, you're going to see max health at 19,337, max stamina at 35,921, stamina recovery is at nice 1,545, weapon critical is 52.4. You're going to see to the left we have 10 points allocated into health, 54 into stamina, and we are using the Thief Mundus along with max health and max stamina food. Alright, other bow bar, okay? You're going to see the weapon crit jump to 60.4. And you're going to go ahead and see that the weapon damage prior to any buffs is 2,082. Everything else is pretty standard. Alright. Let's get into the gear. Here we're going to be using Swamp Raiders, Venom, and we're going to be using the Asylum Bow. Okay, let's go down piece by piece. I'll explain what's going on. Okay, Swamp Raider bow, glyph poison, sharpen. Okay, what do Swamp Raiders do? Gives me crit, gives me weapon damage, gives me stamina. When I deal damage with the magical ability, my poison and diseased damage abilities gain an additional 450 weapon damage for 10 seconds. There is no other set currently that will bump up my poison and disease damage as high as Swamp Raiders. Keep that in mind. The only bad thing about Swamp Raiders, I have to use a magical ability. So I have to sacrifice to gain this. But 450 weapon damage for when I'm dealing all poison and disease, oh yeah, I'm going to use this set. Alright, Asylum Bow. Okay, sharpened. What does Asylum Bow do? Okay, when I deal damage with arrow spray, it causes enemies hit to take 45% more damage from direct damage portion of my next snipe, scatter shot, or poison arrow used within 6 seconds. It's 45% when I'm going to be using poison arrow, and when I'm going to be using, oh yeah, lethal arrow, which is the morph to snipe. I will get into that, but that's why I'm using the Asylum Bow. Alright, Krog's Visage. Just one piece. It's to give the extra pen. If you're in a trial scenario, you might not necessarily need this, depending on what people you have enough penetrating value. You can go ahead and use Velodrath for the extra weapon damage. That's fine. Alright. Also, Ophidian Jacket of Venom. Okay, so this is divine, that's divine. This is all ideal because we're using the Thief Mundus. Let me get into what's going on with the Venom set. Okay, so keep in mind I'm a bow build. I'm going to have max stamina. I'm going to have weapon damage. I'm going to also have max stamina. When I deal damage with a light or heavy attack against an enemy who has a poison damage ability on them, I have a 50% chance to deal an additional 4,435 poison damage. This effect can occur every second. That's huge, right? So that's my proc set. That's why I don't need a monster set. I'm using this as my proc set. Okay, Swamp Raiders Arm Cops, Divine, Max Stamina, Ideal. Swamp Raiders Belt, Divine, Glyphed Health, Ideal. Swamp Raiders Bracers, Glyphed Health, Divine, Ideal. Swamp Raiders Guards, Stamina, Ideal. Ophidian Boots of Venom, Stamina, Ideal. Ophidian Necklace of Venom. Right there, it's glyphed with Stamina Recovery, Ophidian Ring of Venom, Weapon Damage, and Ophidian Ring of Venom recovery. Okay, there you guys have it. That's pretty much the gear. Let's get into the skills. Okay. Primary bar is going to be our Swamp Raider bar or our proc bar. We're going to use the Levitate to proc, right? That's going to be our proc effect for Swamp Raiders. We're going to lose a little bit of the damage due to that, using it. But, once again, it's going to keep the uptime 100%. You could use enchantment glyphs, but the global cooldown, you'll lose uptime. So, it's best to use one magical ability. You got to sacrifice. Okay? Power Extraction. This is our spammable. It's going to go ahead and deal what? Disease damage. Shadow Silk. Got a nice boost with this update. So the problem of it is it wasn't being targeted on bosses, right? So, you know, they fixed that. So now it's targeted. The synergy comes in handy. And guess what? It's going to deal poison damage. All right? Once again, Plaquebringer, all poison and disease. Lightweight Beast Trap. Nice thing about being ranged, I can go ahead and do majority of my build from a distance. That keeps me out of a lot of mechanics. So rearming trap, I have to get kind of close. That's kind of a little downside. Yes, rearming trap does reapply. But lightweight Beast Trap, I have a 28 meter range. So really comes in handy. Camouflage Hunter, it's on this bar just to give me that extra 6% towards these abilities. Also, Toxic Barrage. I want to use this versus Ballista. Why? I'm dealing poison damage, right? So this is my main single target ultimate. Comes in handy, deals a ton, and I mean a ton of damage with this build. Okay, the proc for Asylum. Acid Spray. Acid Spray is going to be a dot effect, right? So it's going to apply a burst of poison, and then it's going to deal 5,341 poison over 6 seconds. That's not too bad, but we get the nice burst up front. But it's going to go ahead, hit Asylum, and it's going to pop in what? The Poison Injector. Really nice, 45% increase to this ability. Comes in handy. We're going to also use Arrow Barrage. Now, it's not a poison damage, but I'm going to be able to keep Hawkeye up a little bit more consistently, and I'm going to be able to utilize this for just layering AoE effects. So, also Relentless Focus. Relentless Focus, I'm weaving a lot with this. I'm going to go ahead and use it. When it procs, it's going to deal what? Disease damage. And of course, I don't have a finisher on this build because Lethal Arrow is going to deal way more damage than my finisher. Because when I proc it with the Asylum, this thing's dealing between, if I get the Warhorn, Spellfire Cure buff, I'm dealing around 45k hits with this baby. Love, I can't believe it, but yeah, it hits really hard. I'm also going to have Flawless Dawnbreaker on this bar to amplify the effects, okay? So let's go ahead and get into the champion points. We'll start off with the Apprentice. There's nothing into the Apprentice. Coming over to the Astronaut, we put 75 points in to get that Butcher. Keep in mind, this is a dot build, but the Venom set scales from Master at Arms. Right, so it's a direct effect, so I want to bump this up to 21.18. So a lot of people are like, shouldn't you have more than Thaumaturge? I need to scale up the set, so 21 plus, you know, nice little, you know, anything with my hail or anything. I mean, with any direct effects, but it's just to scale my proc set. Okay, Physical Weapon Expert, 9.17. If you want to offset these two differences, you can do that, okay? That's completely acceptable if you want to go ahead and try to even it out, as long as you get that 75 for the nice Butcher effect. Okay, Thaumaturge is going to be at 1602, right? Yes, it's a lot of dots, but remember, we're also dealing direct. So we're going to offset that because we need penetration. So piercing is going to be at 38.52. Precise strikes, the equivalent value of the Shadow Menace at 1208, but keep in mind proc sets don't crit, so that's just going to affect our abilities and not the Venom set. Mighty is at 1110. Yes, that's a little low, but keep in mind Swamp Raiders is giving us that nice 450 weapon damage. Ironclad's going to be at 1602, medium armor at 26. Hardy's at 49, Elemental Defenders 75, Thick Skins at 611, Quick Recovery at 909, Warlord 904. I put points in a Sprinter so I can reduce the cost, right? Because I'm always moving around. I don't want to burn my stamina, avoiding mechanics and having to keep up. Tenacity is at 1301, Mooncalf 14%, Healthy at 6.17, and I got 904 split between the Shadow and Tumbling. And that is how the champion points are allocated. Now let me go ahead and check out the comments really quick. If there is any, like I said, I'm a busy boy. Busy boy. All right. Morning, Robert. Yo, Scott. Morning. What's up, man? Let me see what the dailies are. Once again, I'm DPS, so it's sometimes hard to get a kill. Really hard to get a kill sometimes.
Break me off a piece.
Okay, unless I have one from another time. It's been a minute since I've been on here, so oh, there it is. Would it be ironic if it was? Fang Lair, that's pretty cool. I actually need that skill point on this tune.
Dark. Oh ho.
It's what, 1?
The crypt before you raise.
And Crypt of Hearts. Alright. So we'll go ahead, we'll go to specifics, Dark Shade, Crypt of Hearts. I'll do normal Fang just because I don't know what I'm getting, you know, in pugs. And then we'll do random normal just to see if I can get Qs. Hoping to get a Q today. Let's hope. Let's hope. Oh, it's a normal, but at least you guys will get to see it. Spindle Clutch. That's my normal. Random. Jeez. I'm queuing vets. I'm just not getting them on DPS. Too many. There's too many DPS sometimes. So I like to heal or tank. Okay, let me go ahead and slot my pots. Okay, yeah.
On your feet, you house. We're going back in.
Is there another spider? Oh.
A nasty beast. This way, squad.
I hate spiders. No orbs or shards. Is this a Templar? And that's Warden. He's low. It happens. Guess I'm doing something good today. Sure, I'll take the aggro. Why not? Oh! It is hard when people don't have utilities, but everybody has to level. It has to happen. Patience is a virtue. I just don't like having aggro on me as a DPS.
Obey the whispers. Earn it!
Why do I got the boss on me all the time? Well, I know why. Can't even set up for my lethal arrow. They're moving around so much on me. Jeez.
They mean to take her from us. Stop them.
Healer! Light it up!
Why isn't that firing? What the? Man. That was weird. It's not, it's bugged. The prompt's bugged. Oh, that sucks.
Heal me.
Oh, wow. Ow.
Light it up. Aid me.
Why do I got the aggro? Jeez. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I need aid!
Sure, I'll take aggro again. Why not? Why is that bugged? Not the prettiest run, and I didn't get to do my lethal arrow because I had a lot of aggro. Anyways, when you get a tank that can hold aggro, what you do is you just set up, right? You get that nice little hold, you get your buffs applied, you go ahead, you hit the acid spray, and then hit your lethal arrow. It's better so you're not moving. But if you're moving as much as I was in this run, you'll burn through a lot of stamina and stuff. But weaving is just every other ability, you know. So, you know, just keep your light attacks just consistent, you know, as long as you can target something. You know, just keep the targets, keep the light attack, get that Hawkeye, keep pushing it up, and keep lying down the dot effects. Then it comes in handy. Really, really nice, man. I really enjoy this build. I have a lot of fun with it. It deals a sick amount of damage, especially in organized play, where, you know, you can get everything kind of smoothed out. Range effects, keeps you out of mechanics. Really like it. Let me check the comments out really quick. Yo, Mars, what's up? Would elf work for this build? I am a wood elf with this build, Scott. I have champion level wood elf Nightblade. I don't really like the way it's built. Looking for a change. Yeah, this is a wood elf. I like the wood elf better with this build, especially for the sustain. Comes in handy. I think a wood elf could work with this build, Scott. Yep, I use wood elf. I need to get off my ass and run normal so to get that bow. Yeah, it's in Asylum. It's an Asylum. Hand, what's up? Getting ready for work, listening to your commentary. Thank you, Hand. I appreciate it, dude. I hope everything's going good for you, man. Hope everything's going good. So, you know, unfortunately, DPS, I can't control what I'm going to get as a Q. Not as much as a healer or a tank. And you can't control what you're going to get in a pug. But once again, before I wrap it up, I'll just go to my house real quick and kind of demonstrate something really quick. It's really, 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 really hits hard. Like I tell people, I'm like, you're hitting X amount on this. I'm hitting this. Why? Because I'm using a poison disease build, right? So there's differences in builds, right? There are differences. Like last night I did my Magplar build. A lot of people are like, oh, Magplar DPS stinks. And I'm like, no, you're building it. You're trying to build it the same as every other class. That's why what you can't do in this game, and that's why there is no BIS. And I keep telling players that. Because if you approach every class the same, you get different results based on what? Their class passives, their racial passives, and then on top of it, the gear configuration. So you can't anticipate everybody to, you know, put everybody in Vicious Ophidian, all stamina classes, and get the same results. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't, because those passives are going to, you know, kick in. You're going to get slightly different results. All right, so here's my robust target, and I'm just going to go ahead and do this really quick here, I think. Okay, that's my poison. So when I go ahead and I proc this, and then hit this, right? That's 28 without my Hawkeye. So all of a sudden I keep my Hawkeye up. Okay, that's 18.7 base. Get that Hawkeye up. 34. That's without penetration, right? So I'm missing an additional about 6, 7, almost 6 point something K in penetration, right? Once I get that, I hit 35, about 35 low. All of a sudden, penetrating values applied. Buffs are applied. I'm hitting over 40k with this thing, 42k, and it is wrecking. It's like, wow. So everybody's like, why don't you have a finisher? I could use the finisher. If you wanted to replace Lethal Arrow for the finisher, you can do that. So I'm going to explain this. Killer's Blade does deal disease damage, right? It is very spammable. But if I need to, this is going to apply the status effect, right? It's automatically going to apply poison status effect. Also, keep in mind, it's going to deal a lot more damage than the Killer's Blade. And it just does. All right, so if you want to stay with Killer's Blade and you want a little bit more burst instead of using Lethal Arrow, you can, but I much prefer using it because of the Asylum. So I'm getting 2 effects for Asylum. I'm getting an increase to my Poison Injector, and I'm also getting an increase to the Lethal Arrow. That's dealing a lot more significant damage than my Impale typically would. So that's why it's there. But everything else is set for poison and disease. And like I said, it stinks that I have to use the magical ability to proc Swamp Raiders. But at the same time, with 450 weapon damage applied to the rest of my disease and poison damage abilities, when that's all I'm dealing, is very powerful. It's one of the most underestimated sets. I've been using it since I've gotten my hands on it when it was Toxic Defiance. I was using it when it was in ICP. I was getting a hold of it. But when they made it more accessible, that's when I really grabbed the heck out of it during one Tamriel conversion. And still to this day, Swamp Raider on a Stam DK or a Nightblade, very, very, very powerful set. All right, so I'm going to check out the comments one more time, and then I'm going to wrap this up. It's Venom. Oh, let me go ahead and... Yeah, this is Venom, not VO. So I'm using the Venom set in Hellra, right here. You get this in Hellra. So it's not VO, it's a FIDI, it's OV. This is OV. So what this does, when I deal damage with a light or heavy attack against an enemy who has a poison damage ability on them, I have a 50% chance to deal an additional 4,435. That's why I'm using Arrow Spray, right? Arrow Spray applies poison damage to the said targets. AoE effect, light attacks, everything's applying poison damage and disease. So it really comes in handy. So that's why I also want to use that poison status effect from the Lethal Arrow on single target application. It's going to apply poison status effect, right? I'm using poison enchantment, right, to keep up, everything consistent. So it's really, really nice. Love this build. If you want to go with an increased enchantment, you can do that. So that's fine too. A lot of flexibility, but this build hits hard. Really, really hard. Love it. Love the build. I don't have any complaints, and I take it all the way to end game. I've ran trials with this. So, yeah. Love it. Love this build. People are like, oh, and I'm like, well, whatever, man. To each their own. I don't really run trials. You think more on Tog will work, too. More on Tog can with Swamp Raiders. Yeah. You won't get the you'll increase your but you want to get that Asylum, Scott. So if you don't want to, if you're going to use Lethal Arrow, if you don't want to use Asylum, I would suggest getting more on Tog, right? Like what you were saying. Then go ahead and get Swamp Raiders, or you can go Hundings. That's fine too. So you can get more on Tog, or you can get Hundings. And then don't use the Lethal Arrow, because it wouldn't be to your benefit to use it if you're not going to use the Asylum bow. You're better off with, the Impale. That you're better off with using that ability with that type of setup. And that's what I used to use forever with this build, was the Impale, until I got the Asylum bow. Once I got Asylum, I switched out the Impale for the Lethal Arrow. So, and it works out good that way. Definitely. So, yeah, you can use more on Tog. Yep. Well, yeah, then get Asylum. Right. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Yep, that definitely works. It would definitely work. Yeah, it would definitely go towards your benefit. You won't get that proc, but you'll get that increase. You're right, for more on Tog, which is really nice. That's a good option, and it will pay out. That's a good combo. It's a good setup. All right, guys, I'm definitely out. I definitely wanted to bring this to you. And like I said, man, have fun in the game. Have fun. I mean, I know people are still trying to chase whatever in their wet dreams and being like, oh my God, I have to find the best thing for everything. And I'm like, listen, any build, majority of the builds will hit over, right? One of the major things that even Outcast said, most of the gear, there is no BIS. Why? Because the devs do a dang good job in balancing gear. The problem of it is rotation. I agree 100%. Even Gilliam's saying this now. Despite your gear configuration, rotation. Getting that rotation down, getting your weaves in. These are important factors to build DPS. When most people are focused in on gear, right? What they're failing to realize is how to increase DPS through rotation. Okay? You just got to practice. You got to keep plugging away at it. I promise you, if you can get it down, you will hit those numbers, right? And you can get through content, right? So you're good to go. And try to have fun along the way. All right? I'm Mysticraven, this ESO Daily. I want to thank you all for watching. And once again and always, have a nice day.